Everyone doing today? It's your boy JJ Domination, and today we're going to be doing another one of these discussion videos. This time it'll be about the 0-7 Cincinnati Bengals as they look to face the LA Rams this weekend, and they are in danger of going 0-8. And basically this video is going to be like a mini discussion of what I think the Bengals should do moving forward, because let's be honest, things aren't looking so good. So if you like these little discussion videos, don't forget to drop a like down below. I really don't ask for likes like all the time, but like yeah, I'm saying like a lot. I don't normally ask for likes all the time, but I feel like it would be much appreciated if you were to drop one, so thank you very much. So the Cincinnati Bengals this year have been awful. I don't think that's up for debate. They've been 0-7, and for people who don't watch the Bengals play football, I don't blame you. They're not a good watch, but let me basically break down what is going on with them. So Andy Dalton, gets a lot of passing yards. That's cool. How exactly is it translating? Not too well. Joe Mixon not running with the same burst and energy that he did last year, but a lot of that could do with the injury-prone and still shit offensive line. Even when they're healthy, they're not particularly good. So yeah, a pretty shit offensive line to play behind for the most part. Then you look at the receiving core. I mean, you have A.J. Green, who's out. John Ross, I believe, is on IR. Your second best receiver is Alex Erickson. And then you look at the tight end position. Tyler Eifert has not been doing, much. Drew Sample hasn't really been doing much. We already touched on the offensive line. They're awful. And you look at the defense. Yes, they do have talented players. They have players that are actually pretty good. Like Carl Lawson. Carlos Dunlap's still pretty good. Geno Atkins is doing his thing. If you look in the secondary, you have William Jackson and Jesse Bates, who are pretty good. But outside of that, I mean, they don't really have much on the defense. Nothing that really gets you out of your seat and makes you go, damn, that's something you could work with right there. The rest of their defense is kind of whatever. Meh. Wasn't a huge fan of the Preston Brown re-signing. Let's see. I think they let go of Malik Jefferson, if I remember correctly. I think they should have held on to him. But overall, man, looking at this Bengals team, they need a lot of help. They're more than just one good player here or one good player there away from really getting back into it. And then you look at the division, there's a chance that Big Ben Roethlisberger does play next year. He's already trying to fast track his way back into next season, which is good. It's a good sign for Pittsburgh at least. And then you look at the Baltimore Ravens. They just got a big-time victory against the Seattle Seahawks as they sit comfortably in first place of the AFC North. And then you have the Cleveland Browns, who are very talented, and definitely they are the wild card team. Not in the AFC, but they're the team that you don't know which version of them you're going to get, but they're so damn talented that you feel like they have a chance in every game because of the star power that they possess. And then there's Cincinnati, a team that's 0-7. They're on their first-year head coach, Zach Taylor. And yeah, that's kind of what their situation is looking like. They're just not a good football team. They do have talent, and they do compete in a lot of these games. A few of these games this year have been one possession or less. So yeah, things could have went either way, but unfortunately they are 0-7. No, I would not fire Zach Taylor after 1 year. I'm not really a big fan of firing coaches after one season anyway. I feel like you need at least 2 or 3 years, preferably 3 years, to really see what you got in this head coach. I just feel like after one season, it's kind of unfair to judge that season, because the reason you're getting a coaching job is because the other team is either trash or they're ready to move on. So when you're not doing well with a trash team in year one, I don't think that warrants being fired. For example, Steve Wilkes, who was the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals. I did not think he deserved to be fired after one season, but you look at the way the Cardinals are playing now with Cliff Kingsbury, especially on offense, they look pretty good, I'm not gonna lie. Their defense still sucks. Vance Joseph's not doing the greatest job, but again, he needs to get his own guys in there, and then we could see what that defense is truly made of. And I think the same could be said about Cincinnati and their offense. Alex Erickson and Tyler Boyd are producing at a high level, but they're not winning games. They're getting their stats in, they're looking good within the offense, but they're just not really winning. That's kind of the problem here in Cincinnati. They've been trash mediocre for a long time. They did have a couple of good seasons with Marvin Lewis, and particularly when Mike Zimmer was like a defensive coach, like they were pretty good as well. And that's kind of what they're missing. They're missing a defensive, presence, not only within their defensive unit, but they're missing that really good defensive coordinator. And, assuming Dan Quinn gets fired, maybe he gets another crack at it. But to be honest, the way that his defense looks in Atlanta, I don't think I'd want to hire him. That's just me. I don't know what the other options are out there, but if you have an opportunity to bring in a pretty good defensive coordinator, I would want to. And if I'm a defensive coordinator out there, I kind of look at some of the pieces on that defense and go, well, at least there's something to work with. It's not completely in shambles. It's not completely garbage. There's at least one player at every level, aside from maybe the linebacking core. But, I'd have to watch more of Jermaine Pratt to really give you an answer. But I feel like there's at least one player at every level that you like on that defense. So, that's a plus. There's some upside there. That's a more attractive job than, a lot of others. So for Cincinnati, man, they really just need to rebuild this defense completely. And on the offensive side, it's easier said than done, but yes, you do need some offensive linemen. The problem is, unless you're an older veteran, it's really going to be hard to find offensive linemen on the free agent market. You're pretty much lucky if you're an offensive lineman that ever hits the market. But a lot of the good teams in the NFL don't allow their offensive linemen to hit the market. Now, for a team like the Washington Redskins, who are terrible, a guy like Trent Williams could become available very soon. However, would he sign in Cincinnati? Would he just want to go from one bad team to the next? That's another big question. But for Cincinnati, they're going to have to do what they do. They're going to have to build through the draft. They're going to have to get guys who could play right now. And they're going to have to rebuild this defense. They need the right guy in the building to help build the defense. And then, once that happens, hey, who knows? But their division is going to be rough for a couple of years, especially if the Browns ever do establish being consistently good. And then you have the Ravens with Lamar Jackson. He's in a good situation. Guys still hate on him and criticize him or whatever. That's fine. That's just going to be a part of who he is. Is the criticisms that come along. But you have two teams basically that are going to be competing. Pittsburgh, I think they're going to do the best they can to stay afloat if Big Ben is not able to, play again, or if he just decides to retire. And then, of course, now you have Cincinnati, who has basically been a bottom-feeding team. But, I wouldn't necessarily give up on Zach Taylor. And maybe this is the game where he comes out with something to prove, because it is against his former team, the LA Rams. He did used to be the quarterback coach for Jared Goff, so he probably knows all of Jared Goff's tendencies, and maybe he'll be able to cook up something to affect Jared Goff. As I've said time and time again, Jared Goff is not a good quarterback under pressure. That is what, makes him just an above-average quarterback compared to being a borderline elite to an elite level talent, is the fact that he is not good under pressure. And it's not like he's breaking apart defenses like Tom Brady either. He's just a good thrower of the football. He needs a clean pocket. He needs his weapons. He's basically a system quarterback, and there's nothing wrong with being a system quarterback. Yeah, football fans like me and a lot of others will, kind of talk shit and poke fun at being a system quarterback, but to be honest, there's nothing wrong with it. It's nothing more than banter at this point. But I really don't have much more to say about Cincinnati other than they need to revamp the defense, build an offensive line, and yes, eventually they will have to look in the quarterback now. They did bring in Ryan Finley, who's a fourth-round pick. We really don't know what Cincinnati has in him because he hasn't really played, with the exception of the preseason. But a lot of guys look good in preseason, so what's my big takeaway there? And Andy Dalton, he's going to have a market because now teams all of a sudden either have guys retiring, guys regressing, or teams that just actually need a new sense of direction at the quarterback position. Teams like Tennessee, potentially Tampa Bay, Chicago. There are teams out there that may want to look at getting a quarterback, and maybe they just don't want to draft one. Even though this quarterback class could be a pretty solid one, You know, we'll just have to wait and see. But hopefully you guys enjoyed, man, and give me your thoughts down below about the Cincinnati Bengals. When will they ever be competitive again? Let me know down in the comment section below, and peace out.